Ingwenyama, the Lion King? Or is it the Black Panther? We may not need to look as far as Wakanda to find the original Black Panther. Because after all, a panther is just a black leopard or a black jaguar. The royal title for the king of the Swati is Ingwenyama. Although often generally assumed to mean lion, the etymology suggests Black Panther, or more precisely, black leopard. The compound word Ingwenyama is derived from Ingwe, meaning leopard, and Nyama, meaning black, or meat, depending on the context. But I refuse to believe it's meat in this case. Black leopard, or Black Panther, makes a lot more sense than black meat. You will agree with me there. Southern African kings, chiefs and chieftains have been known to adorn themselves with the leopard skin as a signal of regality. The title Ingwenyama can be traced back to the first king of the modern Swati, Sobhuza I. Ingwenyama, Sobhuza I's story, is an intricate mosaic of trial and triumph, of victory and defeat, of loyalty and betrayal, of chaos and calm. Before we proceed, please remember to like and share this video, and kindly subscribe to the channel for more educational content like this. Born to the Ndwandwe chieftain Ndungunye around 1780, Sobhuza was no ordinary prince. He was known amongst his people as Somhlolo, the miraculous one. This was attributed to the death of his father, who was apparently struck by lightning at the moment of Sobhuza's birth. Ndungunye was a member of the powerful Dlamini clan that had ruled and continued to rule dynastically over the Ndwandwe people. Even today, the Swati people, who are the descendants of the Ndwandwe, are still ruled by the Dlamini family. Today we look at the life and times of the original Swati king, Ingwenyama Sobhuza I. Sobhuza's mother, Somjalusi, was the secondary wife to the chieftain, and therefore, at the time Sobhuza became king, it was his father's primary wife, Lujiba, who became queen mother. This was fairly easy, as Lujiba, who had no male heir of her own, was the older sister to Sobhuza's mother. Growing up under the care and direction of his mother, his uncles, and his mother's sister wives, and of course the regent queen Lujiba, Sobhuza witnessed the fragmentation of his Ndwandwe people, preyed upon by rival groups, but within him burnt a fierce desire and determination to reunite them. Sobhuza's reign was no bed of roses, unless you consider the fact that roses have thorns. His Ndwandwe kingdom was partially sandwiched between the ambitious military strongmen in the presence of Zwide of Ndwandwe and Dingiswayo of Mtetwa. His woes only became worse after the death of Dingiswayo and the rising of Shaka and his new Zulu kingdom from the ashes of the Mtetwa. He faced relentless challenges. The Zulu kingdom under the formidable Shaka posed a constant threat. He fought off raids and skillfully navigated the complex political turmoil of the region at the time. Internal dissent also tested his leadership. Rebels from within his own people challenged his authority, forcing him to quell uprisings with decisive action. The young Sobhuza, or Prince Ndwandwe IV of the Ndwandwe, as he was known growing up, aligned himself with his significantly older distant cousin, Zwide, the king of the Ndwandwe, and would later marry his daughter, Zanzile. However, imperial ambitions on the part of both kings would eventually lead to clashes between them, and eventual relocation of Sobhuza and his people further north, where they established themselves as the Swati, or Swazi, nation. We do remember Zwide, right? The Ndwandwe king, who was introduced in a previous video as the son of Langa and Ntombazi of the collection of human skulls. Check out the video about Zwide if you haven't already done that, to get more insights into the life and times of this man who was at the center of it all when it comes to the beginnings of the Mfecane. For a significant while, the Ndwandwe, now under Sobhuza, allied themselves with Zwide and his Ndwandwes in their incessant wars against Dingiswayo's Mthethwa, who eventually all but became Shaka Zulu. The Ndwandwe were another powerful force in the region. Zwide was a ruthless leader who expanded the Ndwandwe kingdom through a series of wars. Not unlike Shaka, he was known for his brutality and willingness to kill or annihilate his enemies. The relationship between Sobhuza I and Zwide was a complex and multifaceted one, marked by both competition and cooperation. Despite their marriage alliance, Zwide and Sobhuza were oftentimes rivals, competing over dominance over the region. Their kingdoms shared borders, and they both had expansionist ambitions, leading to clashes and skirmishes. However, in the face of the threat of Shaka, they would oftentimes form temporary alliances to ward off this enemy. But these alliances often proved to be short-lived, as each leader had their own ambitions, which were in stark conflict with the others. After a major fallout between Sobhuza and Zwide, the Ndwandwe now posed a significant threat to the chiefdom, as they would now be fighting on two fronts. The Ndwandwe were forced to migrate to new areas in order to avoid conflict with these two powerful kingdoms. It is sometime during these migrations that they became known now as the Swati, and no longer so much the Ndwandwe. After the eventual defeat of the Ndwandwe by Shaka and the Zulu, the relationship between Sobhuza and Zwide remained strained. Although they had no major conflicts, Zwide's influence and presence continued to be a concern for Sobhuza. When Zwide's armies returned to reclaim their land from Shaka, Sobhuza took no part of it and stood by and watched as his old ally marched to his death. Erstwhile friend, frenemy, uncle, cousin, father-in-law, you pick what you may want to call the relationship between Sobhuza and Zwide. However, this was the last march of Zwide and the last great march of the Ndwandwe. They would suffer a great defeat as the armies of Ndwandwe were now annihilated by Shaka and his Zulu in the ensuing battle. The Swati eventually settled in the area that we now know as Swaziland or Eswatini. There they established a strong kingdom in the area and have remained independent ever since, notwithstanding the brief period where they were a High Commission territory of Great Britain. With the Mthethwa disintegrated and the Ndwandwe annihilated, Shaka and the Zulu would now focus their attention on the Swati as the nearest large and threatening neighbor. Further confrontations continued between the Zulu and the Swati. These culminated at the Lubia River clash, which saw the crushing defeat of the Zulu at the hands of the Swati. This defeat was years after the assassination of Shaka, and the Zulu were now a weaker army under his brothers than they had once been. This victory for the Swazis was a significant turning point in their relationship with the Zulus. It helped Sobhuza solidify his leadership and contributed significantly to the consolidation of the Swati territory. However, the Zulu remained a powerful force, and the two kingdoms continued to exist with a degree of tension and respect for each other's strengths. Through all this turmoil, a new attribute of Sobhuza emerged. He was not just a warrior king, he understood the power of collaboration. He forged alliances with the Portuguese and other groups, gaining access to the trade of firearms, which were crucial for his kingdom's survival. Through strategic battles and shrewd diplomacy, he expanded the Swati territory, securing vital grazing lands and resources for his people. When Sobhuza ascended to power, he sought to unite various Ndwandwe clans under his leadership. Changing the kingdom's name from Ndwandwe to Swati could have been symbolic of this gesture of unification, creating a new identity that's all-encompassing and uniting for the clans under rule. The name Swati was taken from his son's name, Mswati. During their migrations from what we call Zululand now, the Ndwandwe or Swati encountered many different people, including the Portuguese and Arabs, with whom they established trade. One of his most notable acquaintances and contemporaries was Mfecane I of the Basotho. The two founding kings of the present-day monarchies of Eswatini and Lesotho had a complex and evolving relationship throughout their reigns, marked by both cooperation and competition. Their kingdoms were situated relatively close, bordering on each other in some areas. This proximity naturally led to interactions, trade, and occasional skirmishes over resources or disputed territory. Both Sobhuza and Mfecane were ambitious leaders seeking to expand their respective kingdoms. This naturally led to a degree of competition and rivalry, with each viewing the other as a potential threat to their own ambitions. For the duration of Shaka's threat in the south, the Sotho and the Swati tended to have or to make strategic alliances to ward them off. These temporary alliances helped solidify a relationship between the two kingdoms of the Sotho and the Swati. Although Sobhuza and Mfecane did not have close personal relationships, their choices and actions directly impacted on each other's kingdoms. Their decisions regarding expansion and conflict resolution influenced the trajectory of both the Sotho and the Swati nations. Having navigated the treacherous currents of politics, Sobhuza never neglected his family. He had numerous wives and fathered many children, ensuring the continuation of the royal lineage. He instilled in them values of unity, courage, and respect for tradition, values that would continue to shape the Swati nation for generations to come. His son, Mswati I, after whom the Swati people are named, became an even greater military and political leader who expanded his kingdom beyond the boundaries that his father had set. After a remarkable and lengthy reign, Sobhuza passed away in 1850, leaving behind a legacy that transcended his own lifetime. He had transformed a collection of scattered clans and united them into a powerful kingdom, laying the groundwork for his now thriving nation of the Swati that we know today. Sobhuza I's story is one of resilience, vision, and unwavering loyalty and commitment to his people. His legacy lives on in the Swati kingdom, a testament to the power of leadership, unity, and the enduring spirit of a nation. There is a lot of uncertainty regarding the exact cause of the death of Sobhuza I at the ripe grand age of 16. But he died peacefully, having not only survived but prospered during the tumultuous period of Mfecane. He was succeeded by his son and heir Mswati I, whose mother was Zwide's daughter, Zanzile. His death is surrounded by a similar mystique and wonder as was his birth. Even in death, Sobhuza I remains Somhlolo, the miraculous one. Like this video and subscribe to this channel for more such content.